Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a very special beginning in Uncanny Trek's coverage. That's right. We're returning to the worlds of Star Trek Strange New Worlds and Legion of Superheroes for season 2 of both shows. I am Bob in Cascadia. That is Matt in the Southland. Matt, are you excited that Strange New Worlds is back?
I am very excited Strange New Worlds is back. I was a little worried the first couple of minutes of the episode, but then I got okay. So
I was a little different than you. I got a little bored maybe about like 30 minutes in, but then I felt like it stuck the landing real well.
With Legion, Bob, Legion's pretty cool.
This season is more extreme.
Yeah, you could tell it's so extreme. We got Superboy X.
Yeah, not Superboy Y, not Superboy W, Superboy X.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, for those who aren't familiar, because Bob has the obsessive need to compare things, we look at, Star Trek Strange New Worlds and another show. The other show is Legion of Superheroes, the animated cartoon from about 2006 to 2008, I think it ran. In a lot of ways, it's a pretty ridiculous comparison. That's part of the joke. But also, Legion and Star Trek, both about nostalgia, both about a hopeful future. So, I feel like there's thematic overlays, right?
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
We got a fast forward button for a reason, folks.
Oh, burn.
I ain't gonna timestamp it though. So
anyway, today we're talking about the season 2 premieres of both shows. The Man from the Edge of Tomorrow, Part 1, that originally aired on the 22nd of September 2007, and then we're talking about the Strange New World season 2 premiere, Broken Circle, which originally aired on the 15th of June 2023. Matt, do you want to walk us through the plot of Man from the Edge of Tomorrow, Part 1?
In an amusing reversal of the series pilot, angry Kryptonite Jack Superboy X recruits the Legion to come to the 41st century to help him fight Imperiex, despite Superboy X's hatred of Brainiac 5. But Imperiex escapes to the 31st century and levels the Legion headquarters.
So, Matt, at the start, did the tie-in comics that we read for last week spoil that Brainy was running another fantasy simulation about hanging out with Superboy?
Yes, Bob, 100% it did. I watched it and I was like, aha, look at that. He's doing another one of simulations. I was like, I'm glad I read that comic because I was in on the joke like 0.37 seconds faster than anybody else watching.
That's right, Matt. You're like you're the Flash of watching this show.
Thank you, tie-in comic.
So, Matt, do you like Lightning Lad's older look? You think it's more extreme? It befits a show that has Superboy X?
Yeah, he's a little more grizzled looking. He's a little unkempt to me. Unkempt. He's like...
Do you have any thoughts on the new Legionnaire member we have this season, Chameleon?
Yeah, Bob, you mean Chameleon Boy?
No, I just mean Chameleon. In some versions, he's Chameleon Boy, but in some versions, he's just Chameleon. And I think it makes more sense to, I like the boy, girl, kid, lad stuff, but I think he's the one character where it makes a lot of sense to drop it since, he is a shapeshifter.
In this extreme season, Bob, we want to drop the boy stuff, right? We just want to be called Chameleon.
Yeah. Lightning. Triplicate,
yeah,
bouncing. You will respect bouncing, Matt. He's here.
Bouncing.
Did the extreme and more kinetic season 2 title sequence speak to you, Matt?
Let me say this about the title sequence. That was fine. It was cool, but the music they have got to they should have updated the theme. That theme is so. Yeah. The word is tinny, Tinny. It sounds horrible yes. When I'm putting it at the beginning of our podcast episodes. It sounds like it's trapped inside of a can. I thought I was messing up, but then I heard it on the TV and I'm like, no, that's how this thing actually sounds. It sounds very canned.
I mean, I guess if there's something they have to skimp on, that would be a thing I don't mind them skimping on. But yeah, that is an interesting point. Did the Legion movie have a distinctive theme?
I don't remember. I'm sure it did, but
I'm just wondering if maybe that would be an alternative.
I don't know. This one seems like a just something they chose from like a series of them, like they used to do for wrestlers, in WCW.
Mm-hmm.
They're like,
yeah.
This is Basketball Highlights number 5. That's the name of this entrance theme.
Which is kind of funny, like given the amount of care they put on the Batman and Superman openings. I honestly don't remember what the JLU opening is, but the Justice League opening for the first 2 seasons of the show, that was actually pretty god awful in the spirit of the Legion opening.
The Justice League Unlimited opening was pretty amazing.
Okay, maybe they basically just kept the same one they did for the first 2 seasons then.
Set it up a little bit.
Like they did for season 2 of the Legion. Yeah, I gotta say, I really hate that Justice League opening. It's a great show, but it's a terrible opening.
I always thought it was cool. Dun, dun, dun.
Not feeling it. Well, Matt, speaking of early aughts nostalgia, do you remember Imperiex from the comics?
Yeah, vaguely. He was around in the early aughts. Okay. I feel like I didn't read a lot of comics at that point. I don't know what I was doing. I don't know if I was reading a lot of Superman, maybe a lot of Batman.
I think we only read a little of this at the time, but it was from the Our Worlds at War crossover in 2000, 2001.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I remember the character. I remember him existing. I remember him being like a badass. That's about it.
Yeah. I think he kills Lois's dad or something.
Oh, okay.
No, he's a present day like DC villain in the comics and had no association with the Legion. And then, this is a few years later, and then they just move him to the far future and then move him back to the near future of the Legion. Right. I will say, speaking of the time travel, I was kind of amused that we have the Legion, being 31st century teenagers who are talking about Superboy's parents, the Kents, in the 41st century. That just kind of cracked me up, I gotta say.
It's like they teach a damn class on the Kents or something. It's kind of insane. And on top of that, the robot was called K3NT or something.
Oh yeah, you're right. I picked that up the first time I watched this years ago, but I'd forgotten about it. Yeah, you're right. Good catch. Yeah. Did you like how catty Timberwolf was this episode? I kind of liked it. I felt like they kind of struggled with Timberwolf in the comics and in the first season. And so him, now that he's no longer the most extreme character with Superboy X around, him being catty seems kind of funny to me.
Once again, like I feel like I never know what to do with this character. He's so different in all the other incarnations. Yeah.
It's like at least a clear choice. It's not like him showing up and being a big deal in like episode 3 of the series and then just kind of dropping out for the rest of season 1. So, Matt, did you get flashbacks of anything about the red antimatter bubbles showing up all over the 41st century?
Yeah, it was just eating away at the universe. Just a bunch of like crisis type stuff.
Yeah, I felt very akin to Crisis on Infinite Earths or 0 Hour, which you may or may not remember was subtitled A Crisis in Time.
Crisis in Time. It's a crisis, so we have to have a bunch of shit disappearing.
Indeed. That's how else would you know it was a crisis, Matt? So who was your favorite non-Superboy Legionnaire this episode, Matt?
I got to go with Brainiac 5. He played a pretty big role in this. After reading the tie-in comics, I kind of like him Brainiac 5 a little more going into season 2 than I did season 1.
It didn't hit a lot for me in the episode, but thinking about it now, it is kind of funny to see him be mildly traumatized and annoyed by the fact that his like the evil version or the more extreme version of his crush hates him. That's pretty funny, actually. It's a very kind of like superhero angst thing, that like superhero comics can do that not a lot of other things can do. I guess I'd have to give it up for White Triplicate Girl. R.I.P. I totally forgot they just killed her off in the first episode of season 2. It's sad.
Yeah, which they also did in the comics too.
Yeah. It's slightly different death, but yeah, she usually at least one Triplicate Girl gets got. Interestingly, this is the one that's like actually likes Bouncing Boy. So I can't remember, but it's like, will Orange and Purple want to keep dating Bouncing Boy, or was White the main one driving that relationship, And
does she just become Duplicate Girl at that point?
In the original Silver Age, they rename her Duo Damsel. I can't remember if they go with that or if they just like Duplicate Girl would be the more obvious thing now that you think of it. RIP to a real one third of Triplicate Girl. All right. So to save everybody from fast forwarding that, should we just go ahead and jump into Strange New Worlds premiere?
Sure, Bob. So the Strange New Worlds premiere in the A plot.
Well, really the only plot, man.
With Pike off ship looking for a lawyer for Chin Riley and against Admiral April's orders, Spock heists the Enterprise to answer a distress call from Lian Noonien Singh on a Klingon mining planet.
Yeah, man. So I can't say I'm wild about Spock's lyre playing being like explained in a handy prequel way that like, oh, Dr. Mbinga gave it to him so he can manage stress. I didn't like that.
I don't know. I love Mbinga. I want a doctor like him. How would I look something up like? How can I look that up?
By a doctor like him, you mean like emotionally supportive?
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Just a good guy. He seems like he cares about people, you know?
No, he is a really good guy. I like him a lot. Like it's no hate on the character. It's just kind of annoying. Like, I don't know, just, you know, that very prequel thing of like everything needs to be explained.
Yeah, we got to know why Spock decided to choose that instrument. Now we know why.
Yeah, he can't just like music. He can't just play the lyre. I mean, come on.
That hasn't kept you up at night, Bob?
No, it never has. Just like how Indiana Jones got the hat, Matt, was never, and even the bullwhip for that matter, never a source of great curiosity to me.
Now you know.
Yeah. So, Matt, I saw apparently some mixed feelings online about this. I thought it was kind of amusing, especially since, you know, Spock famously doesn't get to participate in the heist of the Enterprise in Star Trek 3 because he's dead, or dead or recently resurrected. So I thought it was kind of amusing that he got to heist the Enterprise in this episode.
I don't know. It didn't sit too well with me. This is one of those I'm kind of like, it was such a big deal in Star Trek 3 for them to steal the Enterprise that this seemed less like an issue, especially when you find out that the punishment for doing it wasn't really that severe.
Well, yeah, but only because it all turned out okay and he averted a war, right?
Right, but I mean, didn't they weren't they going to court-martial Kirk and stuff before they came back in Star Trek 4 and saved the world?
Yeah, but I mean, Spock saved the entire Federation with this thing, man.
Yeah, he avoided a war with the Klingons. He did.
Yeah, and also, I thought they did a pretty good idea at the end. This is spoilers jumping ahead that, a Gorn war is coming. And so April is making the decision is like, okay, he's a good officer. I don't want to bog him and the ship down in this. We need them for the war, right?
That is true. I guess it's just the time. I guess Spock was in the right place at the right time. I think if he'd stolen it and nothing had happened while he was gone, they probably would have court-martialed his ass.
Oh yeah, totally.
He got lucky.
I don't know. I agree with you that it did feel a little abrupt, and it was a kind of strange way to start the season because it's like, they'd already sort of written Chin Riley off a little bit, and then they write Pike off a little bit too. So it did feel a little bit of a strange way to start the season. I definitely admit that, but I don't know. I thought it worked. I thought it was well enough explained.
Well, we are introduced to a new character, Bob.
Yeah, Matt. What the hell is going on with Carol Kane's accent?
I don't really care because it's so cool. It's like creepy. And it makes everything she says sound eerie, but at the same time, I like it. Like, I just want to keep listening.
So you're a fan of it, huh?
Oh yeah, I like it.
I was really put off by it, especially in the first scene. In the second scene, it didn't bother me quite as much, but in the first scene, I was like, what the hell is going on here, man? Yeah.
Then you find out she's a lanthanite.
Yeah, which sent me scrambling to memory alpha and memory beta, but no, it's a new species. Yeah, it's a new species. So that is interesting. And also, I was a little cranky because I really liked Himmer as a character. And I also really liked having an Andorian as an ongoing part of the cast because they're a cool species and we haven't explored Andorians that much in the franchise. So I thought that was like a cool opportunity. And the fact that he got killed off and, there does seem to be this deplorable trend in new Star Trek, especially Discovery and Strange New Worlds. If it's like, okay, this makeup budget, it's too much. So we're just going to kill this character off and then we'll recast the actor as someone else.
That's exactly what they do. And it's sad, but
Yeah. So all that didn't prime me to be excited about Carol Kane's character, but the fact that she is an alien, and does seem to be kind of interesting, right? Apparently they pass for human. Apparently they're almost immortal. All that sounds, apparently Carol Kane's character herself has a relationship with Spock's mom. All that sounds pretty interesting.
That'll be interesting. And we're going to get a really good episode at some point where we see like what it was like in her past, I'm sure. Or she'll be characters that we have come to know and love at some point. Enterprise.
Yeah. This might be wrong, but I do I like the vibe that she wants to do this basically because she gets bored because she lives forever.
Yeah.
And that also, maybe I'm wrong, but it feels like she's only going to be around for this season,
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, it feels like she probably has a couple stories about Spock's past, but she'll get bored and move on. And then, we'll get a new engineer. And so that actually is kind of interesting. I sort of like that vibe. So,
the rotating engineer season to season.
Yeah. I mean, they probably won't do it, but if they get Chief Grace, who I believe is a Maori character, to be the engineer, he's like the engineer in the comics and the novels for Pike. If they got him, that'd be really cool for a season. They probably won't, but that would be a good possibility.
Yeah. I'm not I mean, eventually they're going to have Scotty at some point, but
yeah. I don't know if they would go to him for season 3 or if they would just push that off till the end of the show,
Yeah, I'd wait till the end of the show if I were them.
Yeah. Well, Matt, when you first saw the buried Crossfield class ship, did a part of you think it might be Disco?
For some reason, my brain went to Farragut, but I couldn't piece together why. I was like, is that the USS Farragut? And I was like, no, I don't know why I'm saying that.
That's the ship. That's a ship Kirk served on that I believe was a Constitution class ship.
Right. Yeah. So it makes no sense. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that.
No accounting for Matt's unconscious. No accounting.
Exactly. It like pissed me off because then I looked up Farragut and was like, yeah, this is the ship Kirk was on. I was like, yeah, it's not. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but
it comes into play in that neural parasite episode, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I really did like this episode. I hope my enthusiasm shows, despite my skepticism for Carol Kane initially. But I will say, like, a couple things bothered me. One thing was like the needless prequelization of Spock. The other was I'm correct in remembering this, right? In season 1, we had like no indication that M'Benga was like a scarred Klingon war veteran. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere, and I don't really like it. But I did say the same thing about Shaw and his anti-Borg ways, and then that turned around. So maybe they can work this in a way that's interesting.
Yeah, but Shaw was always funny, and it also, like, Shaw was a new character. It wasn't like, it wasn't like we'd seen Shaw in Picard season 2, and then they were like, oh, and did you know he has a tragic past?
Yeah. And you did have his daughter in the first season, so I don't know why they just...
that was the other thing. It felt like just like, his daughter angst from season 1 got resolved. And so this felt just like, oh, well, he needs new angst. So let's also make him...
He just moves on from one angst to the next.
Yeah. I maybe that's why he's such a nice guy, is that he carries such a burden of angst that he just really wants to connect and care about people. Because if it's, he'll work through his war angst and then it'll be something else. We'll find out his wife used to beat him or something. Yeah. Poor guy.
This is just going to end up with him in an episode where he's having to work closely with a Klingon, and it's going to be difficult.
It's gonna be like O'Brien and the Cardassian in that season 4 episode in Next Gen.
Yes,
nice. I did like his speech about remembering that battle on the moon and like there being blood in the atmosphere because of all the killing. That was actually pretty good. It was good acting. It's not a slight on the actor playing M'Benga. It's just a kind of slight on the writing choice,
Yeah, one of my the things I watch, that kind of recap some of these episodes and things, was discussing like the number of Klingons and people that died, or the number of people that died, and it was, I want to say, didn't they say it was 100 million or something like that?
I didn't catch it.
Oh, yeah, it was some crazy number, and it just made you wonder, like, okay, and this is and Burnham still got off for all this. Like it's like 100 million people died. Burnham's a starship captain.
Well, I mean, in fairness, she doesn't become a starship captain until 1,000 years into the future.
Yeah, they forgive you after a while, I guess. But still, he was pointing it out. Like he was saying, like, death's awful, but when you go from like saying, okay, this many people died to 100 million.
That is the kind of interesting thing about like Star Trek and about a lot of like science fiction in general is that, the tendency is to think it's like going to be like, oh, this better socialist utopian society. And they are. But then, they're going to have these wars with the Klingons and the Gorn and the Dominion. And like hundreds of thousands, if not probably millions or billions of people are dying in these conflicts. And it's just like, it's just existential on a level that, is hard for us to grasp, even with all the carnage on Earth,
Right. That's just, they don't show you that part.
But, or at least they just they gesture at it with a character being traumatized or angst filled. But right. It's
the character you cared about died. Not the other.
Yeah, it's weird. But to go from the tragedy of human existence and war, Matt, to some really cool violence. I saw some distaste about this online, but I thought it was awesome. M'Benga and Chapel are doing stems and then using it to fight the Klingons. I thought that was very fun.
People complained about this. It gets on my nerves. I'm like, really? This is awesome. They take super soldier serum and beat the shit out of Klingons. Like, how is that? Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. It's cool. And it's like, it's very funny because it's like the two characters you would least expect because they're like the friendliest, funniest characters on the ship, and they're healers.
They're the doctors. They're the ones who are supposed to make you better, not make you
and they're basically taking venom and going after the Klingons. It's great.
Well, and it makes sense they would have something like this because they just got done with a war with the Klingons. They had to have a way to combat them in. So they've been developing things like this.
Yeah, given how much stronger the average Klingon and tougher the average Klingon is than the average human. Yeah. I really did love the image of the Klingon D7 dropping out of warp. I don't think we've ever seen that with modern CGI.
I don't think we have either, no.
Yeah, if we had, it didn't register for me. That was very beautiful. I thought even though I hate prequels, it's one of those arguments for, this is kind of why prequels are cool, is you get to see the old stuff look cool in a new way.
Yeah, I was so proud of myself for knowing it was like a battle cruiser and not saying it was a bird of prey.
Good job, Matt. Good job.
I can tell the difference between the two ships.
Yes, that look almost nothing alike. Good job.
Correct.
Although they at least do have that similar design principle of like the long neck and the bulb at the front and the kind of wingtips at the sides. But still very different looking. All right. So another thing, I guess I could imagine some people might have been annoyed at this, but I thought it really worked, was when Spock is kind of puzzling out the false flag operation and what the scheme is going on here. And he's kind of doing this combination of like intuition and using his Vulcan logic, so it's really came off to me as kind of cool. It was very like Sherlock Holmes or, from Star Wars, very Thrawn. And I was kind of charmed by it.
I could say that this guy is slowly replacing who I see as Spock in my brain. It's like if my brain searches for Spock, 8 out of the 10 images are of Nimoy, and the other 2 are Ethan Peck. So
yeah, and I mean, in general, it's just astonishing how good the actors playing already established characters are in the show. Like for him, for Pike, for Number One, for Uhura, for Chapel, for M'Benga, they're all just like they're astonishingly good at like both like kind of honoring the earlier performances, but finding like new and more modern nuances to it. I wouldn't have thought it would have worked if you were just describing it to me in general. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, it really has. It's excellent. Any new fans to Star Trek that never watched the old stuff, seeing this, I mean, it's still good acting, good show. You can still go along with it. If that's your Spock, that's your Spock,
Yeah, it's like it balances that thing of you never have to have seen an original series episode at all. And I think you would still find this like vital and interesting science fiction. But if you have seen the original stuff, like this like honors it and modernizes it in a really great way.
I mean, as long as you don't like the Kelvin verse, you're good,
Yeah. And if you do like the Kelvin verse, fuck you. So I will say that it is just kind of an interesting political note. You know, Strange New Worlds is a very woke show, very progressive show. False flag operations, at least at this point in history, are very much a concern of the right. And so it is kind of funny to see a woke show like Strange New Worlds dramatizing a false flag operation.
I totally thought Spock was going to choke and cause like the next war with like just like a sister. You know?
It's just like, God, that's why Sarek's a diplomat, is because his children keep starting wars. I'm sure Cybok started a war or two as well.
Yeah, remember that Klingon war that Spock started after he stole the Enterprise from Starbase One, Bob? Yeah, went on a little adventure. Little captain away in the senior crew will play.
That was pretty dumb. That was pretty dumb. Yeah, it's a sad 100 million. It's a sad 100 million people died because of it.
Still the flagship of the Federation.
You can have a little interstellar war as a treat. So another CGI thing I really liked was when they do pull in Mabinga and Chapel, and they're frostbitten from the vacuum. That was like the CGI of the transporter effect was very cool. Very, very.
It made my heart race a little. Like, it was weird the way they did it. I thought we were like seriously going to see like a transporter error or something. Yeah. Like, we were literally going to see finally like what happens when the whole thing where like you have two people that are transported together at the same time from like out of space, and they're just like in a big blob. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. I was freaking out.
And I guess they kind of have to, since we know both these characters survived to the original series, they kind of have to play up the drama, right?
Well, yeah. Well, you could feel the cold too. Like, that was the thing. Like, the cold of space. Like, you just feel it while looking at them. Ugh.
They really made that palpable and uncomfortable. It was good. I also just want to salute Nurse Chapel for, even though she's near death, she still is so committed to the bit that she's flirting with Spock about S&M. God bless that woman.
Yeah, Jess Bush is so awesome. That's the actress. She's who would have thought that Nurse Chapel would be one of the better characters on a Trek show in 2023?
No, it's
like I own the action figure, and I'm like, I never even did anything. Like, I don't know.
yeah. I'm totally smitten with her. She's great. She's great. It's amazing. So, we find out in the second Carol Kane scene that, she came out to Spock's mother as one of the first humans. She revealed herself as, this long-lived alien species. And, obviously the queer allegory to that shouldn't be lost on anyone.
That's right, Bob. It is Pride Month.
It is Pride Month, Matt. Happy Pride. And like I said before, the accent bothers me a little less the second time around.
It seems out of place, but I like it that it's like that. It makes her seem like there's more to her character.
It's interesting that you like it so much. I really want to see what Alan thinks of it. Because I could see him loving it, or I could see him being really put off. My friend Alan. So I'm looking forward to hearing his take. So Matt, a war is coming, a Gorn war.
Yeah, all I can picture in my head is like a foot war between the officers and lizard people. So I don't know where that's going to go.
Would it be a better joke if it were foot race?
Foot race, foot war, foot race could be.
I don't know. I'm dyslexic, and I read it as foot war or foot race in the notes. But
what do you call it when they're like fighting face to face in person, not through ships?
Hand to hand, face to face,
hand to hand, I guess,
in person.
Yeah, I always thought it was called a foot war.
I guess what I'm picturing is the Gorn wedding from Lower Decks, where all the baby Gorn are like chewing on Boimler.
Yeah, but like they kill him. That would be the war. I mean,
I'm looking forward to it though, man. The Gorn episodes from last season were awesome.
Oh yeah, that was a great episode of Alien.
Yes, it was. And then obviously we get the very sweet dedication to Nichelle Nichols at the end. That was very nice.
Yeah, it was extremely sweet. Kudos to them for doing that.
Yeah, it's very nice. And the other kind of political point I wanted to make about the show, Matt, I feel like the only good liberals in Hollywood write for Strange New Worlds. And I mean that, like, Strange New Worlds is a really woke show, but it's like woke in a good way. It like actually does care about and like make funny and give personalities to marginalized characters, or characters from like marginalized backgrounds. It doesn't just like randomly slap characters on the screen, fail to develop them, and then pat itself on the back for doing so, like maybe Discovery. And I really appreciate that it's like actually well written while being woke, and that it's also anti-war, because we live in an era where liberals are just like frothing at the mouth to go to Russia with China like mad dogs. And this is literally an episode about like the dangers of arming a proxy to fight a rival power, like, and the need to be attentive for false flag operations that might try to like blow up a pipeline. I don't know, like I don't know how Strange New Worlds got the only good liberals in Hollywood to write it, but I'm just really grateful that they do.
Okay, Bob. Keyword is ham-handed. Discovery handles these things in a ham-handed way.
Yeah. It totally does. And also, I mean, just like so much of new Star Trek is just bad writing. Like Disco, Picard, and Prodigy just has so much bad writing. And I don't know how the same people also produce Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, but they and manage to avoid that bad writing, but they do, and it's amazing.
It's just, I don't know. Disco seems like it has to like beat you over the head with it. It's just not good. Picard's a nostalgia trip, and Prodigy's for kids. I mean,
it's for
I
children.
just can't watch Prodigy. I don't
You
know.
shouldn't. It's terrible.
It's not my thing. Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. Like Disco, like has a pretty diverse bridge crew, but they've done almost nothing to develop any of them. And then it still thinks it's like so woke and so great. And it's like, we hardly know anything about Detmer or a Warshika or the comm officer or the tactical officer. Like we hardly know more. My buddy Alan and I have put in more thought to Detmer and a Warshika's personalities than the writers have in like 4 years. Like, I don't know. It's such a bad TV show.
But I'm just glad we have so much Trek available. That makes me happy.
Yeah. It's good. Like I said, I'm so grateful for Strange New Worlds and Lower Decks, both for being quality entertainment and for Strange New Worlds of actually, pointing back to a time when, liberalism was not incompatible with good writing and anti-war politics. So yeah, that's nice. All right, Matt. So who was your character of the week?
My character of the week was Pelia, our new engineer.
Wow.
She's hilarious.
Interesting choice. Yeah. I'm very amused that I was not that into her and that you liked her. That's an interesting dichotomy. I'll go with Ortegas. Great to see her back. I really do hope the finale of Strange New Worlds is Ortegas getting her own command and getting to say "Vamonos" to as her substitute for Engage. That would be great.
She's gonna die.
Oh no! They can't kill her. She's so good. She's
gonna die.
She's an icon.
Last words are gonna be "Vamonos."
Oh no! She's an icon. She's an icon for lesbians everywhere. They can't kill her. That'd be terrible. All right, Matt. So what was your episode of the week?
Episode of the week goes to Broken Circle, Bob. I enjoyed Man from the Edge of Tomorrow Part 1, but the Broken Circle was better.
In a rarity for me, I'm going to give it to the Legion episode, Man from the Edge of Tomorrow Part 1. I mean, obviously I loved a lot of stuff in Broken Circle, but the bits with a couple of those bits with Spock and Mabinga, I didn't think really worked and did leave that bad taste in my mouth. So probably the only time this will happen this season, but I'll give it to the Legion episode.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, this has been the very exciting, very joyful for both of us return of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, along with Legion of Superheroes. Please check us in week to week. Please don't touch that fast forward button. Don't listen to that son of a bitch, Matt, that I podcast with. I am Bob in Cascadia. That's Matt in the Southland. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for listening.